See if we're live yet. And are we live? Are we live? I don't know if we're live yet. It always takes a little bit of a delay, so I always have this awkward pause. Hi, everybody. This is Ryan Douthit with Driving Sports TV. We are coming to you live from the studio in Bellevue, Washington. News just dropped on the Subaru 2022 Outback Wilderness pricing. And I thought, you know what? I could just do a blog post, but hey, let's actually do it live because we built a studio. We built it for this kind of stuff. So let's get into Subaru Outback pricing. And I am, you don't have to just look at me this whole time. I'm going to play the video, the launch video, so you can see that in the background. But I've also invited Todd Hill from Subaru of America into the conversation. Say hi, Todd.
Hello, everybody.
Good. His audio actually works. We did not practice this in advance. We just I literally just bugged Todd like, I think it was 2 minutes ago. I said, hey, we're going live. You want to join? And he's like, I'm in. Let's do it. Yep. So I made a guess when we first went, when we did our first review over on Driving Sports TV, which is our other big channel. That video so far has had 500,000 views. So a lot of people have seen it. And in the video, I guessed that the pricing would be mid 40s. And I have rationale for that. First off, yeah, that seems super high. That was my estimate. But it was because the Onyx XT that we had for a long-term vehicle was priced at about, I think we're at 42 and change because we went with a lot of options. So I was thinking of it from an options perspective. If you got the vehicle, you added a bunch of options, which most people are going to do. And Todd, do most people add options to the Outback?
So in terms of option packages, yes. But also we have a lot of accessories that we sell as a business. We do really great accessories.
Yeah.
So usually you get an option package plus some accessories from the base.
I think we're getting a little noise canceling on you because you don't have headphones. So when you're talking, it's kind of cutting you off a little bit. So maybe you could turn the volume down when you're talking and then turn it up when you're not, or click mute when you start talking so that we don't miss out on what you're saying. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with the pricing that we have here. And I have so many windows open. Why do I open so many windows? I actually have a simple banner here that's going to basically throw out all the pricing. The basic Outback starts at $26,945, and I just threw that pricing in there so that people kind of get context for like what's the bottom line to get into an Outback. Do you sell a lot of those basic Outbacks?
We do, and actually, me being relatively new, I'm not sure off the top of my head what the mix is. I'd have to dig that up, but we do sell more higher end trim than base, but we do a decent number of base. It's not a part of what we have the price we don't sell.
Okay, so you don't know, but you do sell a bunch of the base. I just know in the Pacific Northwest here, I mostly see Tourings rolling around. It seems to be a very popular package out here. So the base Outback starts at $26,945, premium $29,145. But the one we're interested in today, let's look at the Onyx, $35,145. That was a small increase. That was a $50 increase. Do you know why there was a $50 increase?
There's usually,
Yeah, volume down, thanks.
So there's usually some minor content adjustments here and there from the year. Sometimes it's stuff that we talk a lot about, and sometimes it's not stuff that we talk too much about, maybe some minor feature. And sometimes, the price just goes up. I'm not sure on the Onyx what we added.
Yeah, it looks like it's basically the same thing. It might just be like a dollar adjustment, for the sake of the dollar.
Yeah, there's no major change on the car. It might be a very small feature change that wasn't big enough to make it into the pricing release and the documentation. But basically, it's the same car as last year.
But the Wilderness itself is coming in. So the Onyx XT is priced at $35,145, and the Wilderness is not that much more expensive at $36,995. I'm actually kind of surprised because you're getting a lot of like actual modification to the vehicle. It's not just a sticker package. And I know some car makers, BMW, that would charge more than that just for an emblem, on the side of a vehicle, like the M3 packages that they add that aren't really M3. They're like, whatever. So that's actually pretty impressive. Do you know, are any of the Wilderness, like we've been having, somebody is asking here in the thing, they're asking if you can retrofit any of the previous models with the same extended travel as the Wilderness. I think we kind of touched on this in our original review. I think that's a no. Can you confirm that?
To do it as it is done on the Wilderness, you really can't do, because as you know, we changed the drive ratio at the rear differential and then within the transmission. And so it is more than just ground clearance. Certainly you can buy an aftermarket lift kit, and raise it up that way. But you're going to lose out with having the suspension and the damping, everything calibrated for the ride height, as well as the eyesight and the safety system calibration. It really would be difficult to modify an older car to get the same kind of benefit as the Wilderness.
And
that being said, you can still upgrade the older model and improve them.
Yeah, and of course, I think it should also be mentioned that the price of used cars right now is so insane. You can almost like, maybe this would be a good time to sell or trade in a used car if you really want something like the Wilderness. Now, I think financially is almost the best time to do it once this comes out, because the used car price market is just nuts right now. I just know that when I was buying the 4Runner last month, the price of a used 4Runner was within a couple $1,000s for 60,000 miles on the vehicle. And that's not just a 4Runner thing. I've seen that with Jeeps. I've seen it with Subarus. It's just used cars for some reason are going bonkers right now.
Yeah, literally my cousin just last week, he took his Ascent in for service, and they just offered him a crazy trade-in value, and he just left with a new Ascent.
Exactly. It's almost like, from a creator perspective, I just kind of want to just buy all the cars right now, just because if I knew that I could trade them in for almost what I paid for them, I would totally do it all year round. Unfortunately, we know this isn't going to last forever. Eventually, the prices will go back down. So do you think that there's going to be a high take rate on the Wilderness? Or is the Wilderness going to be just like more of a fancy fringe item?
So for us, we did this project, under the assumption that there's a lot of demand out there. We have a lot of users who are wanting to do more with their Outback, wanting to get further out there and wanting it to be easier. We see people doing it in the aftermarket. So our idea for this model isn't to be a halo that we just sell a handful of. We really do want to sell this, and I think you see that in the pricing.
Yeah.
We set it to be a really good value and a really exciting to buy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that would have gravitated or settled on the Onyx would be like, if they can get past the cladding, because the cladding I think is a real polarizing aspect for some people. They look at it and they're like, love it, or they hate it. There's no middle ground on that. I did have somebody ask over on the main reveal video that we did, whether the cladding can be removed. Is it finished metal under that, or do you know what it looks like underneath that at all?
So, when you get to the back, part of it's part of the rear bumper, and then part of it snaps off. I don't know what's behind it. It snaps off. I mean, I know there's a bunch of clip holes and everything. I don't know if those are the same clip holes as the Wilderness or the other Outback models, or there's some differences in the metal behind. I don't know that much, but where the front and rear bumpers come in, I'm not sure you're going to match up.
I was just noticing at this moment here on the video, let me see if I can where was that? When you see the vehicle parked and you're like, oh, those things look hideous. They're huge. But when you see the vehicle in motion, like we see it here with the side view shot, I think it actually looks pretty good. It's not as obvious looking as it necessarily is in some of the static shots where the light is like capturing those in just the right way. And I think that some people, like when you actually see them in public, you'll be like, yeah, that's really not that bad. For the people who don't like them. But of course, the people who do like them, they're just going to like them in whatever. Somebody has a question for you, Todd. Let me go ahead and hit play on that. Here's the question. Subaru of Australia bumped the tow rating from 1,500K to 2,000 kilograms for this model year. Will the U.S. towing capacity raise as well? That's a good one.
So for the Outback Wilderness, the towing capacity is unchanged from the turbo models that we have this year and last year. So that part doesn't change. I can't really speak for the towing in Australia. I know there's a lot of different ways that they measure and validate and set towing standards internationally in different countries, and it may not necessarily be equal to how things are measured or rated or done here. And of course, there's always content differences in the cars as well.
Is there, do individual countries, they are responsible for their own towing, or do you just have does everybody in Japan just go like, okay, this week we're testing for Australia, okay, next week we're testing for, because of different tests required for each?
So I think that the certifications are done more by market than by country specifically. So sometimes maybe Australia might follow the European certification. Okay. So they're kind of done in that bucket, and usually North America is a similar kind of a bucket. So Canadian spec cars and U.S. spec cars are often very similar with, those kind of certifications and ratings and testing and whatnot.
Okay. A question that comes up all the time, and I know the answer, but I think it's better if people hear it from you. Why can't you get an Outback with a manual transmission?
So that's a very good question. And you know me, I am a huge manual guy. I love manual transmissions. And the frustrating thing has just been that, for me, is that the sales have just dwindled down to almost nothing. Even, not just us, pretty much any manufacturer, they're out there and they just, nobody buys them. Mm-hmm. And actually, as on a brand level, Subaru has done very well with manual transmissions.
Because a lot of people still buy WRX.
A couple of years ago, we were selling more on a total volume basis than nearly everybody else, which is crazy but true. But it's just the sales trend is not where the manual diehards like myself wish it was.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I believe, sorry about the echo with Todd's voice. He doesn't have headphones available. I roped him into this last minute, so we're going to have to suffer with the echo. I have asked him to turn his volume off when he is not talking, but he does have to hear what I'm asking so he can hear the question. So we're just going to have to deal with it for right now. I will give him more notice. By the way, Todd, just keep a set of headphones next to your computer for the future, because I will continue to rope you in as I can.
Yeah, no problem. I have them. I just fled to a conference room and they're not with me.
It's all good. I appreciate the fact that you ran here, and I do appreciate that very much. So do we have any other questions from the audience here before we wrap this up? Let's see here. I do want to say that I will be driving the Wilderness in about a week and a half, I think. So we will have a full review in a few weeks available over on our main channel, which is over at drivingsports.com, which here's the shortcut for everybody who wants that. Of course, hit the subscribe button. Got to do that. And let me just do a last check for any additional questions. I think we're going to wrap this up. Todd, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I will try to give you more notice next time, and we'll talk again later. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot.